Greetings, comrades. Well, I'm having an interesting day today. I'm trying my first 24-hour fast. It's a wet fast, so I'm drinking water. Dry fast would just be absolutely nothing. Hard mode dry fast is you don't even interact with water, you don't take showers. If anybody has followed Alex Becker's channel since I've recommended him, you will realize that I watched the video that he just put out, and I decided to try a fast right away, and it's going great, man. I'm drinking some what the fuck is it called? Arm & Hammer. What's that stuff? Is this gonna fuck up the entire video because I can't remember what it's called? Baking soda with water. Great. All right, let's get to the topic of the video. So Reverend 20 Piece asked that I make a video about spotting psychopaths. Now the first thing I want to point out is that I said that people's personalities, I think it's actually more than just their personality, it's like your way of being, your way of interacting with people. It's on a spectrum of empath to psychopath. So people will have characteristics of psychopaths, or they will have characteristics of empaths, and there's levels to it. If I had to say, like, where would normies fall on the spectrum, the majority of normies, let's say 0 is empath, 100 is psychopath, they'd probably be like between 60 and 70. Somewhere like that, like leaning towards psychopaths for the most part. And then more often than not, your outcasts, people who kind of just don't fit in. I've been finding a lot of videos. That's how YouTube works. Your algorithm detects what you're watching, and then it recommends you a bunch of videos. I've been seeing a bunch of videos where lonely people describe their lives, like women. There's a bunch of videos from women where they're just like, I've never had a friend in my entire life. So those people would usually fall more towards the empath side. They're usually like 40s or 30s, something like that. So I have not done any research for this video. This is just all from my experience. My entire system of empath to psychopath is just based off my experience. I was considering doing some research for this video, but I'm pretty distracted with other things, so I just kind of wanted to give you my take. Something I recommend people on my channel do at any point, if you ever just go on Google Scholar and search whatever you're interested in, you know, search up psychopaths on Google Scholar and read some papers, read some articles about psychopaths. That's something that I could have, maybe would have done for this video, but I'll tell you what, comrades, I have a couple of my old friends in mind from my hometown. These people were cousins. These are some of the most fascinating people I've ever met as far as character study goes. I feel like being friends with them for years gave me some sort of like a rinky-dink certificate in psychology. Because these people, one of them was better looking. He had a more conventional look. He was basically the biggest Chad in my hometown. Now, I don't mean like physically big. This guy was about 5'11". I think he's just under 6 foot, 5'11". Pretty white. These people are Finnish. He always kept his hair long. He kind of had the bangs in his eyes look. A lot of people from my hometown had that going on. So he absolutely slayed with women, probably more so than anybody else in my hometown. There was a couple of people in his group of friends that were a little bit more aggressive and did a little bit better than him. But yeah, other than him being tall, he was in decent shape. But yeah, me and him tangled a couple of times, and I usually got the better of him. I was actually tougher than this guy, so this dude is a total cult of personality. I'm not going to use his real name. Let's call him Joe because his interactions with people, anytime you walk into a room with this guy, like let's say you and him are going to a party, you show up at the party, everyone's like, Joe! Oh, Joe, what's up? And then the girl's like, Joe, come take a shot. Come take a shot, Joe. Like everybody was fucking all about this guy. So then there's his cousin. And his cousin was kind of fat. Was kind of a fat dude. Not quite as good looking. And these people both fall on the psychopath spectrum. But my theory is that this guy, because he wasn't as good looking and he wasn't as high status, he's the biggest psychopath I've ever met. Like, this dude was full on manipulation. Both of these people are manipulative, but, Joe could kind of like skate by on his good looks, and he just was always everybody's best friend. I mean, seriously, dude. Everybody liked this guy so much that it kind of just fucking drove me insane. And he kind of tried to say, like, oh, dude, you're my best friend. Like, you're one of my best friends, dude. I spent a lot of time with this Joe character, and I also spent a lot of time with, let's call him Frank. Frank is the guy who's more fat and way more of a psychopath. And then Joe's Mr. Cult of Personality, Charisma, perfect-looking guy. So I was actually pretty much quote-unquote best friends with both of these people. They're all musicians. I'm a musician. So we played in groups together. With Joe, we were pretty much played in like a slightly stupid Sublime cover band. He loved fucking playing Sublime. We jammed Sublime all the time. I had a lot of good times with these people. Sometimes I feel bad for the level that I judge them. But let's turn over to Frank, the fatter guy. You're going to want to remember that, Joe and Frank. Let's turn over to Frank. Because this guy was a complete character study in psychopathic behavior. I would go as far as to say that, fuck my little spectrum thing that I made up. This guy's a real psychopath. I think this is one of the few real psychopaths that I've encountered. So he's a pathological liar. Pathological lying. That would be something important to take into account. So he lies when it's completely just unnecessary. One of the times that comes to mind for me is somebody wanted to like borrow a lighter. We were pulled over in a car, and somebody was asking if they could like use a lighter real quick, I think, to light a cigarette. And he came up with some sort of an elaborate story. He came up with some sort of an elaborate story to make it seem like we didn't have a lighter. I was about to offer a lighter, and he would speak up over me to be like, oh, I had to go pick up my my cousin's dog so I could take him to the vet, and I put my lighter on my dresser, and yeah, dude, I don't have a lighter, sorry. He was a master at lying to his parents. When I started partying, I didn't start partying until I was 17, and this guy had already been drinking and smoking pot. So him and his cousin both were kind of the people who got me into the whole party lifestyle. And this guy was a master at manipulating his parents. Now, Joe, his cousin, it was pretty obvious that he had been partying. He had gone to rehab. The jig was up with him and his parents. Joe's parents knew that he was a total degenerate, and he basically just didn't give a fuck, and he just did whatever he wanted. Whereas Frank had his parents completely bamboozled, and they thought he was this perfect kid. And some of it was just so fucking hilarious, man, because he would use his cousin Joe as an excuse because they knew that he was a partier. So if they ever found a bong or something, like we would kind of like MacGyver bongs out of water bottles and shit. He'd be like, oh, Joe came through my window drunk at 3 a.m. and he made this bong and I didn't want him to, and he left it here and I didn't want him to, and he would come up with these elaborate excuses, and his parents always bought it. I'm pretty sure now I'm kind of having trouble remembering. There had to have been some point where he got busted and his parents finally knew. But, you know, my parents knew that I was smoking weed within 6 months of me smoking weed. It did not take long because it's hard for me to lie to my parents. And Frank, I'm already getting them mixed up. Frank's the fatter one. Joe is the Chad. So Frank always kind of like just saw it as this skill. He never really like took into account that, you know, it's hard for me to lie to my parents because I think lying is bad. And it's like, it's just this moral thing for me where he saw it as a pure skill, and he was better at lying because he was smarter than me. Because he's just smarter, and that's that. Like, lying is this skill that you can learn, and it's important. That's kind of how I like saw into this pathological liar aspect of his personality. It all started with his ability to lie to his parents, and sometimes he'd try to lie for me. Like, we'd be getting ready to go outside to smoke weed. He'd be like, all right, you could hear like everything in my house. I lived in this like log house. It was like a nice house. It was like a big house, but I think part of where we got a lot of bang for our buck is it's like a big nice house, but it's made of these logs, and you could fucking hear everything. I don't know what that has to do with the logs. I think they were saying it was like a sound conductor or some shit, but he would like talk loud in my room as a means of like my parents overhearing. Be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go get that thing from the garage. And I thought it was so fucking stupid. It's like, dude, let's just go outside and smoke weed, and you don't need to like lie all the fucking time. So pathological lying would be one thing. When you start noticing that someone just lies anytime it's convenient, and it might be hard to notice, it's like you'll notice it by them lying to other people. And I haven't been in social situations in such a fucking long time, man. Like, when I lived in the East Coast 6 years ago now, yeah, I lived in a house with 5 roommates, and we were always at parties, and we were always in group situations. So yeah, of those people, like, who was a pathological liar, I didn't really notice, and that's where you get to some of these other red flags. It would come down to starting to pick up that people are using you, that people are just kind of trying to get things that they want from you. I don't want this video to get flagged. I don't want my channel to get a strike. But just being honest, I encountered a lot of Jewish individuals on the East Coast. Love them. Great people. Good people. Not hate speech. We're not doing hate speech. Most Jews that I've met tend to lean more towards the psychopath spectrum. A lot of times it will be things like, hey man, can I borrow $15? Yeah, no problem. Oh dude, I wanna pay you back for that $15 that you lent me. How about I get you this $10.99 sandwich at this roast beef restaurant? Things like that. Or, hey man, can I borrow your old iPod? Because you got an iPhone, so I was wondering if I could borrow your iPod for a while. And then they basically just like keep it forever, like it's theirs. Little things like that, man. Hey, can I borrow this food from you? And then they never give it back. My first roommate, who was a Jewish individual, not that there's anything wrong with that, I lent him like $50 once. Like, I paid some of his rent at one point, and he wanted to pay me back with a World of Warcraft. He wanted to pay me back with a World of Warcraft sponsorship. Dude, I'm so unfamiliar with that game. I don't even know what it's called. Subscription. Yeah, subscription. I played the free trial for a while, and I can totally see how that game is addicting, man. It's like trying opiates and just being like, oh man, this is awesome. I could totally see how somebody would do this all the time. And then just for whatever reason, you just don't fucking do it. I just lost interest. I wasn't very good at it. I remember at one point, I thought this was so infuriating, dude. I was like level 5 or something, and some like level 4 guy came up and like kicked my ass, and then he like bragged about it in chat. He's like, wow, dude, I'm like lower level than you. I just beat your ass. I was like, this sucks. Fuck this. But yeah, just they always kind of try to like get something from you and then not, give you your fair amount in return. And I'm just a nice guy, dude. I come from a small town. I have this idea that it's just good to be good to people, and whatever goes around comes around. Like, fuck, dude. This guy I'm thinking of on the East Coast, I don't think he was Jewish. I fucking helped him move, dude. I spent like all day helping him move, and he said he was gonna help me move, and I was gonna be able to use his fucking U-Haul, and he ignored my calls, dude, and he fucking blew me off, and I had to call up somebody else to help me move. I'm really lucky that somebody else helped me, dude, and I should have been fucking furious, and then he's like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry, man, like, we slept till 6. Can you believe that? He just told me a lie. There you go. Pathological lying. And I just let it go, dude. I just let it roll off the shoulder. This particular guy, fucking weird guy, dude. Like, brilliant, phenomenal musician. His story was like, he was like this savant piano player, and then he got hit by a car, and then he was like a savant bass player. He's like, I got hit by a car, and I didn't play piano, and now I'm a bass player. Like, I don't really get how exactly that worked. But if you look up the artist Andy McKee, who's this, like, finger-style guitar player, he could play, like, every Andy McKee song on guitar. He was a bass player, and he used to be a piano player, but he got hit by a car. Fucking weird guy, dude, and his house stank, and his house was always a fucking mess, and, like, he was a total... He was more like a narcissist type of character. And narcissist, psychopathic traits can kind of blend together. Machiavellianism. There's definitely differences between all of these guys. Like, one of my roommates had a Machiavellian type of personality where he kind of just tried to, like, he wasn't trying to hide it. I think the Machiavellian people have psychopathic and narcissistic traits, but they don't try to hide it. They try to, like, play off this alpha persona where it's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about you, and I'm telling you what I want, and I want the bigger room, and I'll fight you for the bigger room, and just, like, they try to, like, rub it in your face, and they look you right in your fucking eyes, and they have this, like, smirk on their face while they do it. That, I would say, is, like, the Machiavellian type, where they kind of, like, enjoy you realizing that they're pushing you around, and you not doing anything about it. They enjoy that. Whereas a psychopath, I think every psychopath has a moment in their life where they realize they're a psychopath. They're like, wow, other people have emotions. Other people, like, care about people, and I just don't give a fuck about anybody. And they have this, like, conversation with themselves where it's like, I need to, like, pretend that I have emotions so I don't get figured out. Because if anybody ever figures out that I'm a pathological liar and I'm just kind of, like, using people to my own ends all the fucking time, it would be really bad. Like, and again, back to my friend, Joe. No. Frank. Fatty Frank. Fatty Frank, Cool Joe. So, back to Fatty Frank, it would be like the end of the world if his parents figured out that he was partying. And it wasn't great, man. It wasn't great when I got busted. Shit, when I took the ACTs in high school, I left my cell phone on my bed, and my fucking mom went and read all my text messages, and I'm trying to like buy pot and shit, and that was a big deal. It wasn't fun, dude. It wasn't fun getting busted being a party kid, because I'll tell you what, man, I could have used like advice from my parents. I've kind of already let on that I don't really have that great of parents, in my opinion. The story of my junior and senior year was my parents always trying to catch me being high, always trying to bust me for fucking going to parties and shit. Like, that's all my parents cared about, dude, was it was like this game where they just always wanted to catch me fucking being in trouble, and it really wasn't that hard. And yeah, Fatty Frank had it down to a science, dude. I mean, fuck, I guess in this respect, it really did seem like he was smarter than me, but because I was trying to deceive my parents, but it just didn't work. Whereas he was trying to deceive his parents, and he was a fucking master at it. But you have to take into account that it's like, I had gotten used to being caught, and I didn't really care as much. I kind of had that whole rebellion thing, like, yeah, I was at a party, so what? Fuck you, Dad. And I swear, man, he was terrified. One time I was having a party at my house. I was throwing a party at my house, and Fatty Frank was like, dude, you have to send everybody home, man, because I don't want my parents to find out that you're having a party. And it just got to a point where I was like, no, fuck you, dude. Like, this is my party. If you don't want them to find out, then just go. Like, I definitely stood up to this guy a few times. I could have stood up to him way more times. Me and him boxed one time, and I kicked the shit out of him, dude. I seriously beat him in like 7 seconds. Just boom, 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 boom. He couldn't even hit me once, dude. Just kind of like a fat guy. He seems like he's really big now. I have a feeling he can like lift some serious weight. He might even have my number now because he's just so fucking big. But yeah, he was just kind of fat back then, and big guy, like 210 pounds. But yeah, dude, we boxed and I fucking lit him up. He's like, dude, it's not that your punches like hurt. It's just that like they kept coming and I couldn't do anything. Like, they'd hurt now, fatty. But I guess it's about time to wrap it up, dude. Like, I'm not really an expert on all the characteristics of psychopaths, but yeah, when you catch on that they're lying, and here's one of the things I thought about saying before I started the video, and I think it's a good place to end it. When they throw you under the bus and it surprises you, because you know, you can have friends that nag on you and kind of give you shit. You know, that's how friends do one another. You know, teasing or making fun of or whatever. But when they seem especially nice, when it's just you and them, and then you're at a social event, and their whole mentality changes, and then all of a sudden they're completely different. And this is where most of my like resentment and remorse comes from, dude, because that's how mainly Joe was. Because Mr. Cool Guy Joe was he was everybody's best friend. He was like the most popular kid in my hometown. And people thought I was kind of weird, but, you know, being a musician, I was kind of like hanging around these groups because I was in the band with Mr. Cool, so I was fucking introduced to all the cool kids and went to the fucking cool parties. And, you know, when it was me and him, we were fucking bros. But then I go to the parties, and he's kind of throwing me under the bus. And all of a sudden, like, he's kind of like acting like we're not really friends. And it kind of beats me up, dude, thinking that like I put up with that for so long. And yeah, it was because I wanted to be higher up on the totem pole. So I'm trying to just grit my teeth and bear it, hoping that my stock is going to go up. And there's people who I know now who are 30 and in their 30s who they still live like that. So at least I got over it, which is part of the reason I don't really have any fucking friends anymore, because it's like, oh, you don't want to put up with people's shit to be in line to maybe have some status someday, then you'll just never fucking have any friends, because that's all you're good for, dude. Like, if you don't want to put up with being low status in our group, then you don't even get to have a group. That's pretty much I guess a black pill, if you want to call it. That's just kind of what it is, dude. Um, yeah, I used to have a fuck ton of friends, dude, and it was the same on the East Coast as it was in my hometown. Like, if you want to be really, 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 really popular, then you need to get used to being around guys who are going to get more girls than you and are going to talk down to you when you're in social situations. And, like, fuck, dude, there's just all these people in my group, and there was just all these little, like, reminders that I was lower status than other people. And if you don't want to put up with that, then you don't get to have any friends. And I haven't had friends in 6 years, and I prefer not having friends. It's not that bad, dude. So, yeah. When you see that they're lying, when they throw you under the bus, and it surprises you, because you might have some friends where they're always like that. But you have to think, it's like when you're alone with them, they're building you up to use you. It's all about using you, dude. They're using you to do that PUA shit I talked about in my last video, to kind of like throw you under the bus to build themselves up when you're around people. And then when it's just you and him, it's like, oh, dude, I was just playing around, man. You take things too personally, dude. Gaslighting. That's what gaslighting is, man. People might write off gaslighting when it's not serious or it doesn't seem like it's serious. It's a little thing. A lot of times gaslighting is subtle. Oh, you take things too personally, dude. That is like the catchphrase. That is the motto of the gaslighter. That is the motto of the likely to be a psychopath. Oh, dude, I was just playing around, dude. You take things too personally. So not only did they throw you under the bus, now you're taking it too personally, dude. It's a fucking double whammy. They're hitting you with the negativity when they throw you under the bus, and now they're making you feel even more shitty about it. Fuck these people, dude. I fucking told Cool Guy Joe, I fucking told him I was going to kill him, dude. On Facebook Messenger. I said, dude, if I ever see you again, I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm lucky he didn't press charges. And he played some, what could have I possibly said to do that, dude? Like, I had some satisfying moments with this guy, dude. Like, I remember, like, I had some parties at my house. One time I was, like, on coke at a party at my house. And he was just doing something stupid. Like, I would kind of ragdoll this guy, dude. I would just grab him by his shirt. I'm 5'8". He's 5'11". I'll tell you what, dude. Like, when you're a really fucking tough 5'8" guy, like, I handled this guy like he was nothing, dude. I would just grab his shirt collar and slam him up against the wall and be like, stop being a fucking idiot, dude. And then, like, throw him. And then I'd just, like, go about my business. And as far as, like, status shit goes, dude, that can definitely help when, like, people see you beating up on people who are higher status than you. And I was starting to get it figured out, dude. I was starting to fuck girls in my hometown. And yeah, I fucked this girl with, like, double D tits in 2013 in the winter. And I fucked another girl 2013 summer. I probably should have kept going back, dude. Like, I haven't been there in 7 years, man. I just got tired of everybody's shit. I got on the big thing on Facebook. But yeah, I told Cool Joe that I was going to fucking kill him on Facebook, dude. Because I just thought of how manipulative he was. You know what's another thing that he would do? He would call me and be like, oh, dude, can I call you right back? And then he just doesn't call me back. And then he ignores my calls. And he ignores my texts. I mean, usually it would be like if I call him or something. But it got to a point where he would call me and be like, oh, dude, let me call you right back. And then he would just never fucking call me back. You know, this guy had smoked meth. He'd fucking done heroin. He was a cokehead. He was a raging alcoholic. Like, this guy was a serious fucking alcoholic, dude. Top 5 alcoholics I've known in my life. I've known some fucking alcoholics, dude. I know the kind of alcoholics who, like, shit blood and they can't sleep unless they're always drunk. One of the best guitar players I've ever met, dude. Fucking thrash guitar player from Canada. He is hands down the biggest alcoholic I've ever met. And it wasn't even from my hometown. He went to my fucking fancy pants music school, dude. Shreds guitar. Fastest guitar player I've ever met, hands down. Fucking raging alcoholic, dude. Like, skinny. Anyway. That's it, dude. It's not like a super organized video. It's more just like story time with Reformed Stoic and reflecting on my past. But yeah, from what I've observed, It's just kind of like when they're using you. When you see signs that somebody's using you, borrowing things and not giving them back, borrowing money, trying to pay you back with something stupid. It's usually buying something. It's like, oh, if I buy you a $10 sandwich, it's my feelings, dude. It's worth $15, even though it's not, because it's a sandwich. It's special. I bought you a special sandwich, dude, with special cheese on it. It's special. It's better than $15. A $20 World of Warcraft subscription is better than the $100 I owe you, dude, because it's special. It's a special gift. That kind of shit. Throwing you under the bus, and then they try to build you up when it's just you and them. Because they're like a leech, dude. They're using you. These people use people, and if you were ever to like confront them, if you were ever to just try to like sit them down and like explain to them or like confront them for how they are, they would be fucking terrified. It's like somebody hiding a horrible part of themselves, man. I feel like uncomfortable even using this as an example, but if somebody was a child molester, dude, and they had been molesting children for 10 years, and you start to confront them about it, that's the kind of feeling they would get, dude. Like, just like, holy fuck, like, they figured me out. It's over. It's over. These people do not want to be figured out. They don't want to be found out, man. Similar to the narcissist. The Machiavellian has more power than all of them, dude. That's why they're called Machiavellian. Machiavelli was a prince. I've read, what is it called? The Prince by Machiavelli. Yeah, I read that when I first started college over here. He said things like, when people try against the law, you want to make sure that you kill an enormous amount of people in a very short period of time. If you do small atrocities over small periods of time, then it will give people more time to revolt. It will let their resentment sink in for longer, so they will be more likely to stand up to you. Whereas if you behead 20 people right away, they will immediately be instilled with the fear, and they will, you know what I mean? Like, I think trying to do that voice is kind of throwing me off. But, like, it was very cool, or very cruel and calculated. It was about being able to be forceful as a ruler, because weak rulers were often tarred and feathered and tortured and killed. It was interesting advice. It's a good book to read. I don't remember a lot of it, but that's the one that stood out to me the most, is that, you know, when your people betray you somehow, you want to do something extremely vicious, like very fast, something very potent. Like, don't behead one person every week. Behead 100 people in the first day. So they're like, okay, I get it. Like, holy fuck, you have the power, you're in charge. It like demoralizes them very quickly. So you have like a stronger hold on them. So the Machiavellian type, they love it, dude. Like, they have more control than the narcissist or the psychopath, because they're not afraid. You can't confront them. The way you handle a Machiavellian is you just fucking beat their ass, dude. And I was close. I was close a couple of times, man. This particular guy I have in mind, he was extremely intelligent, extremely talented. He's part of the reason I got into philosophy, man. Because, you know, when I was kind of fresh off the boat from my hometown, and he was Mr. Fancy Pants philosophy minor, he would kind of talk down to me a little bit, and he would kind of try to, you know, point out flaws in my logic, and there was nothing I could do. And he's like, oh, have you even read Plato's Republic? He was that kind of guy, dude. Like, now I think I've surpassed him in philosophy, but yeah, this guy would like look you right in your fucking eyes and tell you that you're not as good as he is, dude. He's that kind of a guy, man. He enjoyed it. And yeah, I think they call that the unholy trinity, right? The narcissist, Machiavellian, and psychopath. Those are the three. They're all very similar. But the narcissist is just all about themselves. The narcissist needs to boast themselves up. You know, it's all about them. They're obsessed with their being, with their presence, with their ego, with their own personality. Whereas the psychopath just doesn't care about other people. They only care about themselves and their own ends and their own means. Whereas the Machiavellian just seems to enjoy controlling people, and they enjoy having power, and they enjoy boasting themselves up. It's like the Machiavellian chooses to be a narcissist and a psychopath because they enjoy it. Whereas a psychopath, like, they don't have empathy. They don't have the capacity for empathy. And the narcissist would also probably fall under a mental illness, but they are just obsessed with themselves. So, a little bit unorganized, a little bit too long, but there you go, Reverend 20 Piece. That is how you identify psychopaths. They're not good people, dude. And a lot of times, I don't want to say it's not their fault, but yeah, I believe in that spectrum. And I believe that empaths, you could even say there's some sort of a religious, spiritual kind of a thing to it, man, because you are prone to seeing the world for what it is as an empath. Like, I think that I am a straight up 0 as far as empath. I'm probably like a 20. I'm very close to just being a pure empath, man. I don't like hurting other people. And that's another thing you need to keep in mind, is that there's a lot of empaths out there trying to emulate psychopathic behavior, because that's pretty much what PUA is trying to be a fucking psychopath. It's what gets you ahead in the world, man. So the kind of people who reject material things, the kind of people who remove themselves from the world, the kind of people who might have more time for introspection and might go down these more introspective lines of thought, they're often very close to being pure empaths. And that's basically what I think I am. So hopefully that answers your question. And yeah, I got some more videos coming for you guys. Probably going to do something about fasting. I said I wasn't going to talk about no fap anymore, but I think we got a couple more videos to make about that as well. And I wanted to make a video on the 7 sins, on the 7 deadly sins, like really deeping. That could even be a video series, man, because it's fascinating. It's a very simple thing, but you can derive an entire system of how to improve your life and how to live your life. You can look at it from a scientific perspective, where it's like, wow, it goes down to like the divine commandment theory. It's like, does God say you should do this because it's objectively just, or is it objectively just because God says so? The things that God wants you to do is good for you, and it connects with science. It's like, scientifically, you can see that when you don't sin, it's better for you. So that's kind of like a little advertisement, a commercial for next time on Reform Stoic Ball Z.